guys, it's No Drama here, and so this is a continuation of our previous episode where we wrote a file reader and writer to an external resource. So we have these two functions here, load JSON as external resource and write JSON to external resource, and this goes to our application persistent data path and reads and writes to that location. So if you want to know more about that, go into our previous episode and you can see how we handle reading and writing to the application persistent data path. Now we come over here. This episode is going to specifically be talking about how to serialize dictionaries. I got a comment a couple videos back asking how I can use this particular structure in order to write a dictionary and read a dictionary. So we're going to get rid of our save game. We're going to get rid of this right here. We still have our file utilities and stuff, but I'm going to comment this stuff out because that's not what we're doing right this second. So in the person who asked me's case, he has a dictionary of objects, right? So in this case, we're going to call them tokens. So public struct, and so this public struct is going to contain is going to be called tokens. So this will be a token. It's a token class, and it's going to have a float x, float y, bool is collected, right? So and we'll make all of these public because they need to be, and this will need to be system.serializable. So now we have a serializable token object. So now we're going to create a dictionary. And this dictionary is going to be a integer ID to a token. It's just a list of all of the tokens in our game, and we're going to call it tokens. So we're first things first, we're going to initialize our token in our start. So tokens equals new dictionary int token. So this initializes it so we can actually add and remove tokens from the token array. Actually, we'll get rid of this for cleanliness. I can always rewrite it. So now we have this dictionary of tokens, and we want to store this dictionary of tokens. So you would think that we would go and then just say, like, create one called token collection, and then we would just have a public, we'll say dictionary of int tokens. So the problem with this is that the token collection won't, if we try to use the built-in JSON serializer, it won't work. This only, dictionaries don't serialize with the to JSON and from JSON serialization with that's built into Unity. So we can't do dictionary int token, but you know what we can do? We can do list of tokens. So this is a list of tokens. This is a token collection as a list, and we're going to then save and load the list, and then once we've loaded the list or saved the list, right? Once we've loaded the list, we're going to take those tokens out and then store them into this dictionary, right? In order to do that, we're going to need one catch. There's integer ID. So in this case, I'm going to add to our token object a public int token ID. So this token ID is a unique value that covers all of the tokens in the game. So when we save it, we're saving the token ID and all of its information, right? And then when we load the tokens from the file, we're loading it, and then we're going to parse the token ID into the dictionary as its ID, as its key. So let's create a function down here, public void load tokens. We'll do loading first because for some reason I'm silly like that, and I always do loading before I do saving. So let's do public void load tokens. Okay, so now if you've seen our previous tutorial, you know that now we have to load the actual JSON file. So this token collection is serializable and contains an object that is serializable using the JSON utility. So we can just say, we know where let's assume we know where the load tokens file, the tokens file is. So in this case, we're going to say token collection temp collection equals JSON utility from JSON as a token collection, and then inside of this we will say JSON file reader dot, and in this case we're just going to use our load JSON from file function that we wrote before. Load JSON from file, and it's going to be called token collection dot JSON. And then after that, we're going to include that it is false. It is not a resource, so we're not getting it from the resource folder. We're getting it from that external application persistent data path folder. And we're going to take this and we're going to store it in our temp collection. From there, all we have to do is go for each in this list. We can iterate over this list for each token. We'll call it toke in tokens. So we're gonna for each token as toke in tokens, we're going to say this dot tokens. Right, so that allows us to reference this specifically. This dot tokens dot add toke dot token ID toke. We just reference the whole object here and just the ID here. Now we don't have to do anything. This whole code should load all the tokens in the token collection back into the dictionary. Similarly, let's write the save function. So down here, we're going to create another public void, and this one's going to be called save tokens. Now, in this case, it's going to do basically the reverse of what we just did there. We're going to say for each inside of the tokens. Now, we're not going to use this specifically. To make this a little bit easier on ourselves, we're going to say list of integers token keys equals tokens dot or equals list, right, equals new list, and then we say this dot tokens or tokens dot keys, right? So this will take our list of keys from our dictionary and clone it into our token keys right here. So then we will say for each string inside our token keys as key. Now we have the key of the token inside tokens. So now we can set up a second list here. This list is going to be of type token, and this will say to save collection, and this will be an empty list. We're not cloning anything here, so a new list of type tokens. Make sure we go back and add this, make sure this list is a string, right? So for each key in token keys, we're going to say to save collection dot add tokens dot tokens and then bracket key. So we're going to iterate over every key in the dictionary, and we're going to take every token out of it, and we're going to put it into this to save collection, right? Then we can say token collection save collection equals new token collection, and we will say that the tokens inside of this equals to save collection. So we're using this to assign to save collection to the tokens value of this token collection. And now that we have a token collection that has all of our tokens in it, we can say string JSON string equals JsonUtility to JSON. And this toJSON function will take our save collection and then turn it into something we can store. And then we will take the that JSON string and then write it to a file. So in this case, we'll say file JSON file utility, and we will be using our write to external resource function, and we will say we're going to save to token collection.json, and we're going to pass in as the payload JSON string. And so this, on save tokens, we should be able to save all the tokens, and then on load tokens, we should be able to load the tokens back in. So now that we've done that, we're going to go back up to our start function here, and let's create tokens. So new, so let's say we don't want tokes. Tokes is down there. Token, we'll say tokens.add ID 0, and then new token, where we say x equals 0, y equals 0, or we make sure we start with token ID equals 0, x equals 0, y equals 0, and is collected is false. Right? So now we've added this, we can add a couple more. We'll say this one's 1, 2, 3, and so the token ID will be 1, 2, and 3, and this one will be false, this one will be true, and we'll say false, false. So we've only collected token ID 1. Right, now that we've created these tokens, we're going to save the tokens. So, and we'll say save tokens. We'll call the save tokens function right after we add all of these, and then let's check out Unity. We'll see if we have any errors. We have a ton of errors. What? 1 second, let me correct all these errors real quick. Okay, so the first thing I forgot is I forgot the name of this one, so this needs to be is collected equals true false. So let's start with that and get those out of the way. Okay, I misnamed this part JSON. It's JSON file utility, not JSON file reader. Okay, so in this for each, I forgot to say temp collection tokens instead of just tokens. It thought I was trying to convert this dictionary into a token object, which I was not. All right, next up on my list of things I did wrong, this right here, instead of I did list int and then list string. They're both integers. I messed that part up. I also left this this for each as this is for each integer key in token keys. And then finally, I, for some reason, had JSON strings instead of JSON string. For some reason. So now we should have all of our errors out of the way. And so now if we were to run this, so we have our file test on our game object. If we were to run this, this should create a file. It runs perfectly fine. So now we're going to go to our persistent data path on our hard drive here and open up our, so here's our John App Data local low Snapdragon Games JsonUtility tutorial token collection. So let's open up our token collection here, and wow, we got all this stuff. But really, this is just a JSON list serialized as. So if we take any pairing of this, let's just quickly try to format this so we can see it all. Do that, and then do this. So there you go. This is your dictionary as a list. So now that we have this file created, let's read the file back in and then iterate over it. So let's go back to our file test. So we don't need to save tokens anymore. Now what we can do is we can say, instead of doing these, we will now say load tokens, right? So if we say load tokens, we should have all of the tokens inside of this. Now what we can do then, instead of iterating over it and printing it all, what we can do is, or actually that's what, so all we have to do is say load tokens, and that will load all of our tokens into our token dictionary. So then after we've loaded all the tokens, all we have to do is we'll do this. We'll take a token 2 keys, and we'll copy this down here. And then instead of doing this, we will say debug.log. And then inside this, we will say token ID, and then we'll say tokens key dot token ID plus space is collected, and then we will say plus, and then we'll say token key is collected. So this will iterate over our tokens again, and iterate over the tokens in this dictionary, and display all the tokens that we loaded from the file. So let's run this, and token 0 is collected false, token 1 is collected as true, token 2 collected as false, and token 3 collected as false. So if we go back to our token collection here, that's exactly what it says here. False, true, false, false. It's because we're reading from this file whether or not they are that. And to prove that, I can change this one. I'll change this one to true, and then we'll reload the game. And now it should say false, true, true, false. So there you go. That's how to. This is it's a little bit of extra work that you have to do before you save or before you load. But this is how you take a dictionary, turn it into a list, serialize it using this JSON serializer, and then convert it back when you need to get the dictionary back in and store it into your dictionary object. So hope that helps somebody. I know I really hope it helps that one guy who had commented on my video. I hope this helps you out, man. And yeah, thanks for watching. Like the video if this video helped you, or if you learned something from the video. I hope to see everybody later. Peace out.